Hey, I'm Alicia, your non-monogamous relationship coach. Welcome to the podcast where my friends and I chat about our relationships, enthusiastic non-monogamy, polyamory, swinging, kink, and our lives. You'll get a candid peek into what makes it worth it to live life outside the box. And in case you're still wondering, nope, we're not monogamous. Hey. If you're feeling frustrated and overwhelmed by trying to constantly improve communication and constantly improve your self-awareness in your non-monogamous relationships, and yet you're finding you aren't getting the success that you want, you are not alone. Today I'm talking to Randi Robbins. She's a therapist turned life and relationship coach for polyamorous people. We're multiplying, guys. There are multiples of us. And she's had a similar experience to me in hearing a lot of clients share about judgmental and hurtful things that have been said to them about their relationships, sometimes from their therapists even. And this led Randi into diving into coaching as a way to help polyamorous folks around the world and supporting people and just really being able to be there and understand what y'all are going through. Randi's been polyamorous for over a decade, and she's also been an organizer in kink communities. She has a husband, a non-nesting life partner, a toddler, two dogs. She's got experience, guys. And today you're going to hear a little bit about that. And we're talking about some of the various forms of non-monogamous relationships and all the intricacies of those and how to manage the exciting and sometimes overwhelming emotions that come with NRE, new relationship energy, and some of the benefits of relationship anarchy and various styles of doing relationships other than monogamy. It's a fantastic episode. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please leave us a review or, a thumbs up or pop some little stars on there, whatever app you're listening to us on lets you do that, please. That ensures that more people will hear about non-monogamy and less people will feel alone. And if you really like it, you can support us on our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/notmonogamous. And by being a supporter of the show, you're saying, I support this thing you're doing, and I'll give you lots of thanks. And if you become one of my lovers on Patreon, you're also going to get a Nope, We're Not Monogamous mug, which are pretty dope. Just like Rob N is going to be getting pretty soon. He's one of our newest lovers, and I adore him. Thank you so much. So go check that out. Listen to the episode. I hope you enjoy it. Bye. I found it. I'm almost a professional. Awesome. Cool. Welcome, Randi. I'm so happy you're here. And I'm really glad that we get to connect because it sounds like we're running in some of the same circles and working with the same people. So
Yeah, small world. Thank you so much for having me.
yeah, totally. So I would love to start. I want to ask you about your work because we work in with a similar crowd. But I would love to hear about your non-monogamy, what that looks like. If you're polyamorous, non-monogamous, how do you identify in your relationship style?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I say polyamorous, and for structure, I would say I lean more towards the relationship anarchy end of the spectrum. So, like I have a husband, but we don't identify as like having a hierarchy. We have like kind of other life partners outside of our marriage who we just don't cohabitate with. And so we're open to relationships being whatever they need to be or whatever fits.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Awesome. That's relatable. Very similar. Have you guys always been polyamorous or were you monogamous and then opened up?
Yeah, when we met, we were both at a point where we're like, we want to be polyamorous. That's what we're doing. That's a non-negotiable. We were just focused on each other for like a few months when we first started out, just to kind of figure out what we were doing without introducing a lot of other variables because neither of us were seeing other people at the time. But since then, yeah, we've gone through periods where we weren't exactly practicing, we weren't seeing other people, but yeah, we've been polyamorous the whole time. We just hit 9 years dating this February.
Gosh, that's so fun. Our lives are like on a parallel trajectory. My husband and I, same. We have never been monogamous together, and it's been 9 years. In July, I think it'll
Oh
be 9 years.
wow, that's so wild.
Uh
I
huh.
love it.
Yeah. And I think it I find it really interesting, oh, going from well, I was married 13 years monogamously, and then I was like, "Well, I don't wanna do that again. I'm gonna be non-monogamous." And then, I met Rob, and we started dating, and he was seeing other people. Um, and so I had this, like, idea of where I wanted to go, and then I had to, decondition all of my monogamous beliefs and, while, like, falling in love and being an NRE and just all the things. Oh, that was fun.
Yes, not an easy task.
No. Totally isn't.
Yeah.
Um, so you guys met and you were both, like, at that place of, like, we wanna be polyamorous. Um, had you been polyamorous before?
So I had my first polyamorous relationship about when I turned 18, and I'd been kind of in and out of it after that point. And then around the time, shortly before I met my husband, I was like, no, like I want to stick with this. I'm not messing around with the monogamy anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how that happened.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm curious, what was it that had you like, "Oh, okay, enough monogamy?"
Um, yeah, I think some of it was like having that explicit communication about desires and like interests and that not being taboo or threatening.
Mm,
Um, I know some people identify as polyamorous almost like a sexual orientation, and I would say that that's not me. I identify with it as being like an ethical orientation that I believe in. Of like for me, like it's important that my partners like have that autonomy.
mm.
But I wouldn't say that it came naturally to me. So I had to work through some stuff. And I find that the framework of polyamory is better for me for like managing and addressing that stuff than like being in a monogamous situation.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, similarly, I think, uh, monogamy has too many defaults that it's easy to fall back on and not do the hard thing of having, like, big conversations. Like, I'm just gonna avoid that and just default to what is, like, I can lean back on.
Yeah, we a lot of the time we grow up with like no examples of non-monogamous relationships, especially ones that are healthy. And sometimes we don't have examples of healthy relationships at all.
Yeah.
Um, so there's kind of pros and cons for non-monogamy. We have to like really make our own way.
Yeah.
So it's good for like deconstructing some of those toxic scripts, but then also like you're figuring it out from scratch, and that can be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but it's also kind of a pro in the sense um, that you get to create what you want and what works for you and not just do what society, family, friends, partners expect of you. You get to do
Yeah,
what works.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. That's so good. What would you say have been the biggest challenges or like growth areas in being
Mm,
polyamorous?
mm. Um, that's a tough one because I so like having done this kind of off and on throughout my adult life, like I learned how to have relationships, like period, kind of in
Yeah.
and out of this structure. Um, and so it's hard to pinpoint like, okay, what about this was like polyamorous versus like what was learning how to be an adult and have a relationship at all.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
um Something that I think I had to learn a lot about was managing NRE. That's
Mhm.
something that I would say I feel very enthusiastically about when I'm in it. Um, and so learning to manage that so that it doesn't disrupt my life, disrupt my other relationships, um, and like blind me to like red flags and in a potential new relationship. I'd say that's something that was a big area of growth for me for a long time.
Yeah, totally. New relationship energy is, really fun and really challenging.
It's our brain chemicals. It hits that part of the brain that's like, "Do it again," and so
Yeah,
we do it
chase
again and
that
again.
high. Chase that high, it's gonna
Exactly.
be so good.
Yeah. Never mind, like, the things that are catching fire.
Yeah, right? I mean, what fire? It's fine. We're all fine here. What okay, I have a couple questions about that.
Mhm.
New relationship energy. What how have you what's my question? W- What would you say have been like what are the main ways that you um like combat NRE in the sense of like maybe not noticing red flags or making decisions you might not otherwise make? How do you recognize it and then how do you combat that?
So, I think at this point, recognizing it is just like knowing ahead of time that this is something that I tend to get sucked into.
Yeah.
And so kind of bracing myself for that whenever I'm about to like start dating, just like, be cautious. Um, and I know for myself that like for the first like 8 months, like I give myself like this time set of like, I can't take myself or this too seriously until
Yeah.
about 8 months has passed, because that's about the time where like I kind of hit the peak of it and I calm back down. So that keeps me from like, escalating the relationship too quickly, which hopefully also gives me time to observe, like, oh, this is not what I had hoped for. Or like maybe this is not going to work out. And so since we're not too committed, like let's reel this back and maybe not do this.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's really good. That is I am someone who also gets very caught up in NRE and that's what I discovered was like move really really slowly. Even though everything in me is like spend all of your time with this person, talk to this person all day, every day, climb inside of their body and be them. Um That's what my brain and my body are saying. And I know that I have to go really, really slow and make sure I'm really intentional with my partners that I have, with my kids, with my business, with all my other responsibilities, even when I feel like all I want to do is go be with that person. And it's
Right?
really helpful if they are also on board with moving slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they have their own commitments and their own things that they're enthusiastic about, because if they're also just focused on like this relationship, then like that can just become this feedback loop that gets way too intense.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. That's a it's a hard one. I did that recently actually, and it's like, "Oh, nope, actually I gotta dial that back." How okay, so you and I both have had enough experience to go, "Okay, that this is what I do. That's a thing I
Mhm.
do." But what about those people who maybe are opening a long-term relationship or are new to dating or haven't had a lot of NRE experiences? What advice would you give them?
Ooh. The first thing that comes to mind is like to a certain degree, enjoy it. right? Because
Right.
it is a great feeling,
Yeah.
and it is, something that, you don't get to have all the time or forever. Um, and then with that in mind, I think prep work is so good of like
Mm,
noting down things of like writing down like this is what's important to me and these are some of my deal breakers or these are things where like I'd have to really think about if I'd be okay with this. Um, and holding yourself accountable by like going back to those and not like making excuses.
mm,
Maybe even having like an accountability buddy of like, okay, friend or other loved one, therapist, coach, whatever, like, here's what I said, here's how I'm feeling now. Let's figure this out.
yeah.
Um, so those are the two things that like come to mind for
Yeah.
me first.
That's really, really good. That's one of the things I always say is like, is this something that you would have done 6 months ago? Like making a
Hmm.
decision or something like 6 months ago, like the person you were 6 months ago, if they looked at you right now, would they be like, "Yeah, that's a great idea."
Right?
And then I try to remind people that when you're like moving slowly, it actually can prolong all the good feelings of NRE. Because there's this fear that happens, at least for me, I get pretty anxious where I'm like, if I'm not available all the time, or if I'm not responsive all the time, or if I'm not always showing interest, they're gonna lose interest in me, or this is gonna go away, or the NRE is gonna fade really fast. But actually, what I find happens is when I slow things down and make sure I'm still really engaged in my life, that NRE gets prolonged and can last a year, 2 years. Like it actually stays. It's like almost counterintuitive. We get this like anxious feeling of, "Oh, it's gonna go away and I want more of it." But like when you're
Hmm.
chasing it, it goes away faster.
Yeah, and I also believe in like an attitude of abundance where, um, I talk about this with people who are ending a relationship and feeling bummed about it, or they're having trouble with dating. I'm like, there's always another person out there. It may not work out with this person, and maybe it's good, right? That it doesn't work out with this person, and there's going to be another one out there.
Yeah, always.
So that
Always.
yeah, that I think that if we can internalize that, it helps take some of the fear away of like, I'm going to lose this shiny object. Like,
Yeah.
no, there's another shiny object that might be even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big fear. Like nothing will ever feel like this again. No, maybe not exactly, but it might feel better.
Yeah. Our
Give it a
brains are
shot.
great at playing tricks on us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally, totally, I love that. Um, so NRE was a big growth area, managing NRE, I love that. Um, I wanna ask you this one because this is one that I got asked a lot, and we have a similar thing. People asked us so many times, "Well, why even get married then?"
Yeah. I have this memory. I was at this dance event in Virginia Beach, and in this dancing community, there's a lot of other non-monogamous people, and there's a wedding happening on the beach, some distance away, and some people are making some smart alecky comments about like polyamory and like not needing to get married and stuff. And that has just stuck with me. It's like, you're sure if that's your path, like if you don't want to get married, cool. Um, in my case, so I think at the point that we got married, some of it was like still having like some of that monogamous framework in mind of like, we need this commitment to make it like permanent.
Yeah,
Um, which is, some we continue to deconstruct
yeah,
our internalized beliefs. Um, and then there's also practical reasons, like, my husband and I have a child together. So there's a lot of things that are just easier if you have like that paperwork of like, okay, we're married, like I'm on his health insurance,
right,
um, just all of these things where the system is set up where it makes more sense sometimes to have the paperwork than to not.
yeah, yeah, that was ours too.
Yeah.
Like, medical insurance, unfortunately, is a thing we really have to consider and plays a big part in relationship decisions.
Right. Yeah, and we have other, he and I have a shared long-term life partner who we've been seeing almost as long we've been seeing each other. We're like, if we all wanted to, I'm sure we could have a wedding, even if we didn't do the paperwork. It's just, we don't necessarily feel the need to throw the party and go through the hoopla for it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fun. We also have a shared long-term partner.
Oh my goodness. Just the
And then
Venn
other partners.
diagram here.
Uh-huh. Yep, yep, yep. Do you ever get jealous?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love saying that because like I really felt like as a baby polyamorous person, like I felt so much shame about jealousy
Mm,
and like, if I were better that I wouldn't be jealous. And like that's not real. Um but yeah, it's something I've definitely that's another growing point where I had to work to manage that and cope with it. And I definitely found that like the healthier a relationship was and like the better
mm.
that relationship was doing, the easier it was to work with those feelings or not have that feeling triggered in the first place.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, I have kind of always identified as a jealous person, and then I was like, "And I wanna be non-monogamous, so I better figure that out."
Right, just do things on hard mode. Absolutely.
Yeah, whatever, it's fine. It's just an emotion. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so you are also a relationship coach for polyamorous people and people who are creating offbeat relationships. And I know that one of the things you're working on right now or working with is helping people figure out what they want and what they
Mhm.
need and how to break that down. So I'm curious how you do that.
So, yeah, so what I do with this is so as far as like working with another person or like how I do this for myself.
Ooh, are they different?
No, it's just an internal process versus external process, right?
Sure. I'm curious how you do it with other people.
Okay. So, what we do first is we sit down, we have a conversation about starting with, okay, do they have an idea of what they think they want and need? Because sometimes people they're like, I'm not happy, but I don't know what
I
I
just
want,
want to be happy.
right? I just want things to be different. I want it to be better. And
Yeah.
so, do they have an idea? If they don't, then there's exploring like, okay, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what have you tried in the past? And we see if we figure out like, okay, what's kind of, a possible destination, right? Because sometimes when we're in that journey along the way, our idea of the destination changes.
Mhm.
Um, or maybe not a destination, because life is a constant journey, but like a waypoint.
Yeah.
Um, so our idea of that might change, but getting an initial point of like, okay, I think this would feel good. This would be better than right now. And from there, breaking that down into like, okay, how could we like measure that? Because like if our goal is, I want to be happier, or even I want to have a good relationship.
Mhm.
Okay, what does a good relationship look like? If you had a good relationship, how would you know? Would it mean like, you were going out, so often, or going out on dates together, or that you were um, not arguing, or you're having productive arguments? Um, and making that into like real behaviors that we can identify. And then once we have those, we figure out, okay, what are the steps that we take to get those things in your life, get you whatever skills you need to get to that point, whether that's individual or like in relationships, right? Because it could be a person looking to get there, or it could be like, a monogamous couple who's looking to move into non-monogamy. So it's like, okay, let's, talk about the steps for doing that and doing that in a way that hopefully won't just blow everything up. Um,
Yeah.
and being proactive about preventing harm. Um,
Creating a
and then from
process.
there, yeah, and then from there, it's taking the steps and continuing to reassess along the way.
Mm. I love that. I think that all too often we get an idea of what we want. Excuse me. We get an idea of what we want, and then we get some idea of how we might get it, and we don't actually know what all the options are. Like, what are all the ways that I could get there? What are all the vehicles I could drive in? Right?
Hmm.
Well, the only way to get there is to take a plane. Well, you could also take the train or the bus, or you could rent a car, or you could drive your own car, or take a horseback ride. Like you don't even notice all the ways you could get there, which I think having someone help you see all the different ways is so helpful, because a lot
Yeah.
of times what we think we need to do is blow up our lives, when really we could just do this thing that you don't know what you don't know kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and something that I find too is like there's all this stuff that gets in the way of us figuring out what we want. Maybe it's toxic messages from like family, maybe it's like religious beliefs we grew up with, maybe it's just like societal norms. And like there's often this like internalized like, shame or just like sense of like, oh, no one else is doing this. I speak all the
Mm.
time to people who feel so alone and, like, I wish I could just get them all in a room together and be like, here's everyone else who's saying the same thing."
Right. That's so real. That's so
Mhm.
real. Like, we need community, we need other people to let us know that we aren't the one weirdo out there.
There's lots of weirdos.
So many. We talk to them all day long.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's so good. Um, what would you say is what is something that anyone can do for free that will help them approach relationships in a healthier way?
Ooh. So I actually have, a video about this linked, or where I recorded a video about this, it's on my website. Um, and so there's this tool called, Rituals of Connection.
Mm,
And this was developed for relationships, but I think it's also good for the relationship with the self, not
yeah.
just external relationships, where you identify something that lets you connect with yourself or your person every day or even multiple times a day, even if it's just briefly. So, for example, um, let's say, every time my husband comes home, I stop whatever I'm doing, I give him a hug, um, and we do a quick check-in about like, hey, how you doing? Like, even if like dinner's going, even if the toddler's running around being chaotic, like just stopping and taking that moment to be like, hey, you're a person, I see you, you're important. Um, and doing that with yourself might look like just doing a quick check-in in the middle of the day, like, "How am I feeling right now?" And, like, "Do I need to adjust something for myself?" Because I think, having that relationship with ourselves is also important for our relationship with others.
I love that so much. For me, I do like 8 belly breaths, like several times in the day. I just stop and like take a few deep breaths, just check in.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I love that. So good. So good. Um, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would want to share with the listeners?
So, I think one big thing that I go back to time and again is the question why. And I mean this in
Mm,
two ways. One is, I hear people say, like, oh, I should do this, I should do that, or I shouldn't. And it's like, okay, but why? Like, who says, what does that mean? Like, what's actually bad about it? So that why. And then the other why is like, why do you want something?
mhm,
I've been talking recently about like, so, if you want to be polyamorous, if you want to try that, okay, why? Like, why now? Why is it important to you? What's interesting about it? Because I think having that clarity is so important for figuring out how to move forward. Um, and get what you actually want rather than stumbling through a bunch of things that you don't want. Like, I learned a lot of things the hard way, And I think that not everyone has to do that.
Right? Seriously, that's so good. I love that. And knowing why also, it it helps you stay on the path when things get hard,
Mhm.
right? Like, why is it
Yeah.
that I wanted this? Why am I pushing through this hard thing? Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that like there's something you're chasing.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Oh, I love that. Um, how can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Randi Robbins LLC, same username on TikTok. I also have a Facebook group called Find Your Way,
Mhm.
polyamory support and education. And yeah, those are the places I'm at right now.
Cool,
Oh,
cool.
and my website, randyrobbins.com.
And I'm pretty sure I have all those links. I'll put them in the show notes.
Great.
You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay. I do have one more question for you that I almost forgot. Is it's for our segment, just the tip, which
Mhm.
is for the supporters of the show on Patreon, patreon.com/not monogamous. And the question is, what is your best or favorite sex tip? I love it. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Amazing. That was Randy's Just the Tip. And if you want to hear it, you can become one of the supporters of the show, a friends with benefits, or a lover of Nope, We're Not Monogamous at patreon.com/not monogamous and hear all of the juicy behind the scenes sex tips that the guests are giving you, as well as ad free listening and the opportunity to chat with me every single month for a live group Q&A session. And also my undying appreciation. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Bye.